Imagine flying so fast that reality itself seems to bend, and the very air around you begins to resist your existence. You hear nothing, then suddenly, everything, as a deafening explosion erupts behind you, not from a bomb, but from your own body tearing through a threshold nature never intended you to cross. This isn't a scene from a sci-fi film. This is what it's like to break the sound barrier, a point where speed collides with physics, and the consequences are as violent as they are fascinating. But what actually happens when you reach that threshold? What does it feel like? What forces are unleashed? And why was humanity once convinced that this barrier could never be broken without death or disaster? Buckle in, because you're about to accelerate straight into one of the most thrilling frontiers in the history of science, war, and human ambition. The sound barrier, technically known as Mach 1, is not a physical wall, but a concept that changed the course of aerospace history. When an object moves through air, it creates pressure waves, just like a boat makes waves in water. At subsonic speeds, these waves ripple out ahead of the object, giving air particles time to move out of the way. But as speed increases, those waves begin to bunch up, squeezing tighter and tighter. When you hit the speed of sound, about 343 meters per second or 1,235 kilometers per hour at sea level, those waves can no longer escape ahead of the object. They converge into a massive shock wave, an invisible explosion of compressed air and energy. That's the moment you've broken the sound barrier. Breaking the sound barrier doesn't just mean going fast, it means facing a world where air behaves more like a fluid than a gas. At these speeds, aerodynamic forces morph, air molecules can ionize, temperatures skyrocket, and parts of the plane endure shock waves that could peel metal like paper. Engineers had to reinvent entire branches of fluid dynamics to understand and survive this phenomenon. Planes needed sleek, needle-like designs, reinforced materials, and specialized stabilizers to remain controllable. Without them, the transition from subsonic to supersonic could cause an aircraft to tumble, stall, or disintegrate. But perhaps the most mind-blowing part is this. The sound barrier isn't fixed, it changes. At higher altitudes, where air pressure is lower, the speed of sound drops. That means you can break the barrier at slower speeds up there than at sea level. And that means that a commercial airliner cruising at 35,000 feet could actually come very close to it, even though it would never generate a sonic boom because it stays just under that threshold. Supersonic flight isn't just about speed, it's about understanding where, when, and how that speed interacts with the ever-shifting atmosphere. Now imagine pushing beyond that. Mach 2, Mach 3, Mach 5. You're now in the world of hypersonic flight where temperatures exceed 1,000 degrees Celsius and materials begin to glow. At these speeds, you don't just need new engines, you need new science. Traditional jet engines can't function anymore. The air is moving too fast to compress and burn properly. Instead, we use ramjets and scramjets which compress incoming air without any moving parts, relying purely on the velocity of the craft itself. These are the engines of the future, engines that could take us across the planet in an hour or perhaps one day into orbit without rockets. But with great speed comes terrifying risks. Take the Concorde, the world's first commercial supersonic airliner. It could cruise at Mach 2, cutting transatlantic flights in half, but it was expensive, fuel-hungry, and banned over many landmasses because of its sonic booms. In 2000, a tragic crash grounded the fleet, and the Concorde faded into history, a reminder that supersonic travel is as delicate as it is powerful. Today, companies like Boom Supersonic and NASA are developing new technologies to bring back faster-than-sound passenger travel, but this time, without the earth-shaking booms. They're experimenting with low-boom designs, sculpting the shock wave itself to spread it out and soften the noise. Imagine a supersonic jet that sounds like a car door slamming. Still fast, but now civil. And then there's the military. Supersonic jets like the F-22 Raptor or the Russian MiG-31 are capable of reaching Mach 2+ with terrifying ease. For these machines, breaking the sound barrier isn't a stunt, it's just the beginning of combat capability. These speeds allow for missile evasion, rapid response, and superiority in aerial dogfights. But it also means more strain on pilots. At Mach speeds, even a minor movement or a split-second miscalculation can lead to catastrophic G-forces, blackout, or mechanical failure. Still, the most surreal experience may not be the speed, it's the silence. Many test pilots report that just before and after breaking the barrier, everything goes eerily quiet inside the cockpit. The aircraft stabilizes, the buffeting ends, and it's almost as if you've entered another dimension, a smooth, ghostly calm while the world explodes in shock waves behind you. It's a moment that blends physics, psychology, and awe into one pure experience. You're not just defying gravity, you're defying sound itself. And now, the frontier is moving even further. Hypersonic missiles like Russia's Avangard or China's DF-ZF are redefining global warfare. These devices don't just fly fast, they maneuver mid-flight at Mach 10, making them nearly impossible to intercept. The race to control hypersonic technology is shaping geopolitics, with the next war potentially being decided not by who strikes first, but by who strikes fastest. Meanwhile, scientists are studying how these extreme speeds could help us reach Mars or even slash international travel down to just minutes. But speed is never just about numbers. It's about challenge. It's about the desire to go faster, higher, further than anyone before you. The sound barrier was once a terrifying mystery, a deadly limit. Today, it's a conquered frontier. And yet, every time a jet blasts past it, leaving a thunderclap in its wake, it reminds us of what we're capable of when we dare to defy the limits that nature and fear set before us. So the next time you hear a boom in the sky, don't flinch, look up. Somewhere above you, a human being is riding a needle through the atmosphere, racing ahead of their own voice, dancing with physics at 767 miles per hour. And in that moment, they're not just breaking sound, they're breaking history. Because even now, more than 70 years after Chuck Yeager's daring leap through the sky, we're still obsessed with the idea of going faster. It's baked into our DNA, the need to transcend limits, to outpace time itself. Breaking the sound barrier was never just about jets or shockwaves, it was about proving that no wall, even an invisible one written in the laws of physics, is truly unbreakable. And that mindset is what fuels our greatest innovations. From spaceplanes that promise suborbital commutes to exotic propulsion systems using electromagnetic pulses, the quest to bend the very fabric of velocity continues at breakneck pace. Startups and government agencies alike are racing to develop crafts that don't just cruise at Mach speeds, but jump from point to point like intercontinental teleporters. Think Los Angeles to Tokyo in under an hour. Not a dream, but a tangible goal on aerospace engineers' drawing boards right now. And the implications extend far beyond convenience. Hypersonic transport could revolutionize global logistics, medicine, disaster response, and defense. Imagine delivering life-saving supplies across continents before the patient even stabilizes, or deploying a rescue team to the other side of the planet before a tsunami makes landfall. Speed becomes more than a statistic, it becomes salvation. But these breakthroughs require mastery over materials, heat resistance, and precise aerodynamic control that challenges even our most advanced computing simulations. Engineers are turning to AI and machine learning to model airflow, optimize structural integrity, and simulate extreme flight conditions in virtual environments long before the first prototype ever lifts off. In this era, where even milliseconds matter, the line between machine and intelligence blurs, and it's that fusion that might finally make Earth feel truly small. Yet with every breakthrough, we circle back to one haunting truth. Our bodies weren't built for these speeds. The human frame, evolved for walking and running, begins to fray at the edges when pushed into Mach territory. Pilots in supersonic and hypersonic craft face unimaginable G-forces, intense heat, and moments of sheer sensory overload. Training becomes extreme. Flight suits are essentially wearable life support systems, squeezing blood into vital organs, compensating for gravity's assault. Helmet displays overlay real-time data onto the pilot's vision, turning the cockpit into something out of a sci-fi film. And still, the edge remains razor-thin. One lapse, one malfunction, and the consequence is instant disintegration at thousands of kilometers per hour. But perhaps the most poetic consequence of breaking the sound barrier isn't in the science or the stats, it's in the feeling. The few who've done it describe a moment of transcendence. A split second where chaos gives way to clarity, and time seems to pause. The roar behind you, the world ahead, silent, distant, and utterly yours. It's not just velocity, it's a revelation. A realization that barriers, whether of sound, fear, or imagination, are only temporary. They are thresholds meant to be crossed and once crossed, redefined. That's why the story of the sound barrier continues to inspire every new generation of pilots, dreamers, and explorers. It represents the moment humanity stopped asking "can we?" and started declaring "we did." It's echoed not just in the roar of afterburners or the shimmer of shock diamonds in the sky, but in every whisper of ambition that dares to aim higher. From the first sonic boom to the next leap into the stars, each advance is a ripple effect from that October day in 1947, a moment that proved the impossible wasn't just possible, but inevitable. And someday soon, we'll hear another boom. Not from a jet at 50,000 feet, but from something sleeker, faster, smarter, a hypersonic shuttle skimming the edge of space, or a spaceplane descending toward Mars's thin atmosphere. And when that happens, it won't be a surprise. It'll be a continuation. A new chapter in the same story, the relentless, beautiful human obsession with speed, and the barriers we were never meant to obey.